say we have a problem, but every night I make a new best friend. And the only problem is we like having a good time.
Hello. Good evening, love wrestling. It's Thursday night. It's 8:30. And
You know what that means?
another episode of Between Two Beards. And as you can see again tonight, we have a guest with us. We see our buddy Throwback down in between us on the bottom of the screen. He's usually in the
What is up, you guys? As I would say, what's good, guys? How you doing?
We are good, my man. We are good. Pluggo, how we feeling this week, my man?
I think he feels out weirded because there's two very handsome Massachusetts guys here ruling the freaking rooster right now, and he's all the way in the Midwest.
What, any rebuttal to that, Pluggo?
I'm fine. I'm well. It's a great week. I mean,
So
it's
I know
been
this
a
might
week,
be.
but
I know this might be kids, but does your wife still go in the chat rooms and say, "Take your shirt off, Pluggo"?
Yes.
yes. But
Yeah.
Not as
Yes, she
you know,
does.
she does.
Yeah, then she probably could
Because-
come in here now and try to make it rain dollar bills behind you, man.
Dollar bills. All right.
All I'm gonna say about that is do not tempt her with a good time. Mrs. Pluggo knows.
All right, boys. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
have a
let's
lot
hop
to
into
talk
the
about.
reality of
we're
everything.
gonna get
All right.
serious. We're gonna get goofy.
We are.
Like the wordsmith said in the comments.
It should be rather interesting. There is a
Interesting.
lot to dive into, a lot to talk about. So, about a couple hours before we all kind of met up in the room before chatting here, WWE released a bunch of talent. They also released some Office people, a handful of them as well. But there were 18 talents in total that they released. I will list them, and then we can talk about it. Obviously, always a hard day as wrestling fans when this happens because you don't want to see anybody lose a job. It's unfortunate. A lot of these talents are very good at what they do. They just WWE either had nothing for them or creatively, there was just nothing happening. The good thing about the wrestling climate now is there's a lot of places for these people to go, and there's a lot of places where they'll be able to show their talent, which is good, But we're talking Karrion Kross and Scarlett. We're talking B-Fab from Hit Row.
Hit row.
Well, that's her part of the song.
Hello, Astrid.
Hello. Yes. Hi, Astrid.
What's
nice to
up?
see
What's
you.
good?
We're talking Grand Metalik
Okay,
and
what's that?
Lindsay Dorado.
Fun fact: I'm not touching any buttons tonight, Astrid. We got
Nope.
Alex behind.
Yeah,
the
we got
glass
Alex.
tonight. He's
Yeah.
Producing for us tonight.
Swog's
Ecto
coffee
guy.
flow, good friend.
The man
We
producing
might
for
as
us
well get
this
these.
evening.
Might get these highs out of the way before.
Yeah, get the
we,
highs out of the way.
Yeah, Tim. So last week, well, real quick behind the glass, 'cause Tim's
All right.
always with us. I sent him like in the last. I was like, no trash talk tonight, guys. Like,
Yeah.
and I didn't use proper punctuation, so he took it as like he wasn't allowed to come on and trash talk, so he didn't show up last week. But I'm glad Tim's back, and I told him it was okay. I said trash talk's always welcome.
I am too.
Any
And we-
conversation's always welcome,
Of
right?
course. And we got Goose. Honk, honk. We got Goose in the chat. Seems like these releases seem to be coming more often and in greater numbers. That, sadly,
And
yes,
more
that's the trend we've been
devastating
seeing.
each time.
yes, it really is. We also have Katrina Cortez from Legado del Fantasma and NXT released Ember Moon, Frankie Monet, Trey Baxter, Jeet Rama, Oni Lorcan, Boston boy Oni Lorcan. Love Oni Lorcan. That's sad.
I got something on that. I have an opinion on
Yeah,
that.
oh yeah, Zeta Ramir, Jesse Kamea, and then we get Nia Jax. That's a big one. Nia Jax. We have Mia Yim. We have Keith Lee, which I'm sure
Damn.
we will talk about.
Sorry,
we have
Bearcat.
Eva Marie, and we have Harry Smith. That is a big list, and there are, all of those names are good, but there are a handful of names that stick out there. Throwback, you are the guest. I will let you lead. Who sticks out to you on that list, or what do you have to say anytime we have a day like this where, performers that we admire and like, unfortunately lose their jobs?
So first things first, it's never great to let anybody go. It's very, and I've tweeted this every time this has happened. Nobody should celebrate somebody losing their job.
Correct.
It's the same thing working where I do. It's the same thing as you guys go through. It's never great to have somebody be like, yeah, the Lower Bay Tech lost his job today. Yay, let's celebrate it so we could put him at a different location. No, it's never okay to celebrate that. Let's get that out of the way first and foremost. A couple of names that stand out. A couple of couples that were released at the same time that recently got engaged, which is Mia and Keith and Scarlett and Cross. I think both of them are very, very talented, all four of them in their own. I wouldn't be shocked that Cross ends up back in Impact. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see Lee and Mia going around doing the indies a little bit, him going back to Britain and, going certain places before he really decides where to go. But for me, as everybody's like, well, Naya's the one that everybody wanted. Every time there was a release, let's be real about it, Naya's name was like, why is Naya not on the list? Why isn't she on there? But for me, and just because of me, I think Only is the name that sticks out. And this is for local purposes. Is JPJ from being where we are. It's kind of selfish to that, but I wouldn't be shocked. And I'm going to put this promotion on there because you don't hear this promotion. It's a local promotion that much. I wouldn't be shocked to see Only in a chaotic wrestling ring for one off.
Yeah, of course.
And then you have him start his run around. But I wouldn't be shocked to see him in chaotic wrestling and right before with the no compete clause going on, because chaotic is not that then. And then him doing the tour, becoming the chaotic champion and just going kind of like the Drew route where he goes champion to championship and promoting each individual one. Eva, I'm not shocked about either. Thanks, Ed.
I like Eva Marie, man.
Yeah.
Eva, I'm not shocked about because literally she's more of a manager type role than anything. But I mean, for me, just for pure talent's sake, other than like if you take Scarlett, Cross, Lee and Mia out of the equation, Only for pound for what he did for NXT and everything was the most shocking thing, because I thought Only would go into the main roster and go like the Cesaro route, and who knows, they could have formed a tag team or something like that. That's something creative you could have done. And
you're talking about WWE. They're not creative.
Yeah, but I know that. But I'm thinking that me as a Keith Lee fan, I'm happy because this gives him something to do correctly. Cross the same thing, but I really think that Only is the one because there's so much untapped potential for that guy. And, it's insane what they can. They could have gone him any other route. Hell, they could put him in the UK and let him, go out there and compete. But like I said, Only is the main thing. Now, do I think Nia is going to end up anywhere? Probably not because obviously reputation's gone. But also, I wanted to get your guys' question is, I listened to the Q3. And even though they had high budget revenue, and with these cuts always coming after a major rise in their budget, and Q3 every Q section of their quarterly drop, I think last one wasn't like a huge major like amount of talent. And if I remember correct, and you guys can correct me on this, the major Black Monday for wrestling, for me, the day wrestling died was that day. That all those talent going from Deanna, the Good Brothers, all the way down was the same reason. The problem with this is that budget cuts is not a reasonable explanation financially running a business to let people go.
Well, yeah, but they know they can get away with it. They 100% know because they say it every time. They had their call earlier today. And they reported a $255.8 million profit for Q3, which was a 15% increase, which equaled $34.2 million. So they announced that literally hours before cutting these people, releasing these people. That, to me, is just, there's no budget cuts. No, it's not a real thing. They just know that nobody ever questions them on it, so that's what they say. Go ahead, Pluggo.
No, the budget cuts thing, that's just corporate speak, right? They're a corporation. we do this every time we
They're a
talk about
publicly
these
funded
clubs.
trading company, and I think their stock, because I've been looking at stock prices recently, has risen due to this, and it's ridiculous.
Well, no, but I mean, what I'm saying is they're a corporation, just like any major corporation in the country, and they're just all that matters to shareholders is the money that they make. They've gone on the record and saying like we're not a wrestling company, we're an entertainment company, so they
100%.
don't care. And a lot of these wrestlers to me like look like we signed a bunch of talent because we didn't want them to go elsewhere. We were
Yep.
and then they're just like, let's hold on to them, hold on to them, hold on to them,
Mhm.
and then they're just dropping like flies. But I mean, again, it's crazy to me that the WWE has all this talent and they never know what to do with it. Again, some of the names they release, you could start a promotion around.
Oh
The Frankie
Yeah.
Monets, the Keith Lees of the world, like Oni Lorcan's good. I mean, it's just even Marie is correct. I mean, even Marie in the role that they gave her did fine, and it's weird because it seems like that was the direction that they want to go on NXT. And then BFAB makes no sense to me because
Yeah,
Hit
I
Row
wanted
was
to. I
hottest
wanted to
thing
talk about
going.
beef. Yeah. So the two that I want to talk about are BFAB and Keith Lee. So BFAB, clearly green in the ring. She had been learning in NXT, having matches and stuff like that. Like she clearly knew in the ring. But Hit Row, for the last 6 months, a year, however long they've been around, one of the hottest acts in the company. Like from the jump, everyone loved it. Everyone knew it was different. Everyone knew it was cool. She has the hook in the song that everybody loves. And then they call him up to the main roster in the draft. A lot of people, myself included, thought we're like, oh God, I hope they don't ruin him. I hope they don't ruin him. I feel like they should have stayed in NXT. And then not even from a creative perspective, now they're just like, oh, you're gone. One of the core members of the group. See you later.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Why call them up or why create? Like, it's just, if Hit Row is part of the plan, you make Hit Row and they're popular. How does her name even become discussed? They're selling merch. She had a shirt with her face on it that sold out at the WWE shop. How are you letting her go?
And they didn't even really get a chance to grow. Like,
and this is why, and this is mainly why a lot of the casual fans are disconnecting from WWE, moving to other products like New Japan, AEW. Impact probably is going to get a bump because of this, besides talent, but I'm talking about ratings. And then as ROH was still around, mainly they could have gotten a small push up a little bit.
Mhm.
The problem is, and I'm like everybody else. I've been watching this since I was 4. I'm 40 years old. I've been watching WWE for 36 years. And even if it's catching it on the YouTube stuff or whatnot, I'm still intaking their content. But the problem is that Vince, in my opinion, and everybody tells me I'm crazy, Vince sometimes has a grasp on the right moves and pushing the right buttons, but he doesn't grasp the current generation of their viewers. So like something like Hit Row that works on, that gravitates to a certain group like everybody else. And if he doesn't like one person, it's like a kid in a candy store. I like, or better yet, different coffees, because we were talking about coffees beforehand. Yeah. It's like going to Starbucks and being a Dunkin' Donuts person, but you like going to Heavenly Donuts once in a while. Yeah. It's like you're picking and choosing certain best things, but it has to work for you.
Well, Vince
is the same way.
Vince McMahon is completely out of touch.
Yeah, that's the main point.
There's no, he's an 85-year, he's whatever he is, 80, 75, 80.
I think he's 75, 76.
Yeah, something like that. He's out of touch. All right. Like the demo that you look for is 18 to 49. You're 30 years older than the last age of the demo. Like you don't know what the majority of people are looking for in wrestling anymore. Like, yes, like you said, he can still throw a good story at you, and he can still throw like a good thing at you here or there where you're like, oh, that was good. Like WWE isn't, it's been creatively stifled for a long time, but there's still good things every week. Like I wanted to talk about Monday Night Raw tonight because I thought Monday Night Raw was a pretty good show this week. And I was like, all right, that's a good Raw. Like WWE still does good things. Like, but for the most part, the reason why there is a disconnection is because They don't make it. They don't give watching the show any value. Nothing matters.
And what like
Nothing matters.
like a Frankie Monet, right? I just want to like a seasoned wrestler who could be
Teaching people.
leaps and bounds in that young NXT. Some of those girls are green and need some work, and even the good ones, like we saw past Tuesday. Zoe Stark had a rough night.
Yes, she did.
You think a little coaching from a veteran like a Taya Valkyrie, Frankie,
Yeah.
and they're just like, no, go. And it's
They
like
also had Mercedes Martinez at one point, who would have been the
Martinez,
perfect person to do that.
Beautiful anchor.
And they're now depending on, like kind of like the torch passings. Like you got Ciampa, you got Dakota, stuff like that to step up and do it. But the thing is that if you're gonna, it's same thing as minor league baseball. If you're gonna build your homegrown talent, I'm gonna use Boston players from around here. Your John Lesnar's, your Dustin Pedroia's, yeah, Andrew Benintendi, stuff like that. These guys are homegrown talent to get up to that main roster. You need to be 100% certain they can carry the ball. The problem is that WWE has a tendency to push these people up too quickly and think, oh, well, it'll all work out. And that's where the disconnection is happening.
Without a plan.
Exactly.
There's never a plan.
Push him up. Put Keith Lee on your main roster, but let Keith Lee be Keith.
Correct.
Lee.
Yes.
And to Mike the ref's point, if we could put that back up.
Yes,
on the screen,
that was a good comment.
Yes, they need to do a reason to tune in. They're not doing it. And unlike other sports, this is why like wrestling releases, I know you see it in the comments, like happens in baseball, happens in football. It's these people that they're releasing can wrestle. Like they're talented. Keith Lee,
they can go.
Like, yes, in football, you release people for salary cap reasons, yada yada yada, they get picked up, but a lot of times releases in sports is you just can't perform. Keith Lee, you guys, that kills me. It still kills me that you put him as a double champ. You made him the first double champ at NXT. You made him a huge deal. And in literally the span of like 4 months, not even.
Dale, you are super wrong, my friend. You are super duper wrong. Josh Robinson, thank you so much for the raid, my friend. We appreciate it. Always good to see
debut.
Josh. Stick around. You might see a little bit more of Josh later on this show tonight. But
it's going to be an honor to talk to Josh on camera because I pop in on his stuff.
I don't think it'll be that. It might not be that. It's not going to be that. Well, we're going to see.
But I want to say this, right? And just to keep going, because this is a huge thing. Out of all these releases and stuff, I could probably see maybe one person coming back if they absolutely need to pull the trigger. And I think Keith would be it to go do something in an NXT role.
Why you ever would.
If presented. But that would be a very, very, very difficult thing to do because I think he's got better suitors. If there was another person on this list, I agree with Pluggo. Frankie Monet, Taya Valkyrie could go back in an instant in that if it was right. But it would be it would be like a few catches on there.
Terrible take by Dale.
Put Kyle, that's a great comment. Put Kyle up on the screen. Yeah, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. I don't know if some of these wrestlers and stories will come out and they're gonna all do the talk show podcast circuit. When they finally get a chance to speak, I don't know. Maybe some of these people were problems behind the scenes. We don't know that, right? We're taking this conversation at face value in terms of just like, and you know what? We would do the same thing if this was the NHL, NBA, we'd be like, why are you releasing X, Y, and Z when they could still play the game, not knowing maybe they were a headache backstage? I don't know. But
I'll give you a perfect explanation on analogy of all this. It's like with Keith Lee. It's like letting Pedro Martinez go after the 04 World Series and him becoming a Met. It doesn't make any sense.
He was washed up by then.
Well,
it doesn't matter.
It's different, right? He finished out.
I'm just kidding. Pedro's my favorite.
In sports like that, they finish out their contract, and then somebody offers them more money. Like that's different. So like when Adam Cole's contract runs out and he signs with AEW, that was his decision. The WWE threw the Brinks truck at him. He just chose to go somewhere else.
Well, they
We're
also wanted him
talking-
to be a manager.
Right, but we're also
Also,
we're
they didn't realize his
talking-
contract was up too.
No, that's all fair. But once they figured it out, or anybody that just left, John Moxley, he left. Things like that, which we'll talk about him
We'll
in a
talk
little
about
bit.
in a little bit.
But
yeah.
my point is, with the releases, they're just like, we're signing all these people, these independent contractors. This is what gets me. We're signing all these independent contractors. They're not our employees, but they can't do anything else. And then we're going to keep them from doing other things and Twitches and this, that, and the other. And then when we just feel like making a little bit more money for our shareholders, budget cuts.
Yeah, see you later.
See you
And to-
later. And you can't
And to
do
answer
anything.
Kyle's comment here, that's been Keith Lee on the main roster since he showed up. They spent and he was out for a little bit, obviously. He was out for a decent amount of time, but they spent his main roster run literally taking every ounce that made Keith Lee special out of Keith Lee. And now they've released him. And it's like, okay, how do you fuck up Keith Lee?
Yeah.
Anybody. How do you fuck up Keith Lee?
You just let him go.
It's
Like,
unbelievable.
Let him be him. And
How
that's what
do
they
you
need
mess
to do.
up Keith Lee?
What's crazy to me is if you go back before Keith Lee signed in the WWE and you watch some of those Evolve shows with him and Riddle, just watch those two go
Insane.
one-on-one on the indie circuit. How do you not take that match and put it on Raw? How do you not just take it from the indies and give it the fresh coat of paint that is the WWE and let those two go for 30 minutes? Like one time for whatever reason.
Hell, I mean, look
Well,
at that.
That's why I'm sitting here. and that's
The
why I gotta
matches
sit
he
there.
had in NXT.
Yeah, he was great in
felt
NXT.
Fluent.
Yes.
This is
true,
the thing
Kyle,
was
he
is that, and I am very shocked that one person didn't get let go, and I am going to go the Homer route, obviously. But the thing is, I'm surprised. Dijakovic, yeah, he did
But
not.
he's been having
let
bangers the
go.
last 2 weeks on Raw.
But the thing is that it goes in the same route as half these people. I mean, think about it. I mean, half of these people have phenomenal matches.
Oh yeah,
Like Ricky Monet going for the title and actually getting close to winning it in NXT.
would have been amazing.
Literally, yeah, literally was to me a good match. Yeah. But the thing is that she can have those type caliber matches, and you're letting obviously Dijak there. But I think if you had to pick and choose Dijak or Lee, you're going to pick Lee over Dijak,
of course,
any day.
Keith Lee, like
so
Kyle
I'm kind of
said,
surprised that.
Like Kyle said in the comment, him and Pluggo, when they had a podcast together, they had said, or he had said that he thought Lee had potential to be the next John Cena. 100%.
I honestly said this one time. I think Lee had the potential to be The Rock.
Maybe
like
a combination of maybe
a
Cena and The Rock,
combination,
like
a hybrid,
combined.
yeah.
But like that's the type of potential that Keith Lee has if you would just let him be that charismatic Keith Lee, who he is.
Here's
And they
think
were like,
Cross-
no,
I
you're going to
think
be a
Cross-
bad guy and just scream. And yeah,
Did they release Cross too?
yeah, they
released
released Karrion
Cross.
Cross.
And Scarlett.
Whoa,
So what
hold on, because I didn't know that.
That was the first name I mentioned, bro. Pay
Yeah.
attention to the show,
I
Pluggo.
got crazy. Anyway, it's.
And this is
I've
coming
been
from
on
somebody he
this
outpicks
show.
all.
On this show, I believe I said I thought the Karrion Cross Scarlet Bordeaux packaging should have just immediately been on Raw.
100%.
Should have never messed with the NXT thing. They were a star. That dude's got the look. They had a thing. Oh, and Scarlett, I know people dump on Scarlett a lot, but she
I
can
hear you,
wrestle
Dan.
too.
Yeah, 100%.
They had a diamond, to quote the line from Diamond Mine. They had a diamond ready to just be given to somebody, and they just basically screwed the pooch.
Yep.
But why?
Yeah.
But
It's happening.
What I
too.
want to know is what do they do? What do they see in these people that they sign all these people? I understand they want to build their own stars. They want to do their own homegrown thing.
They
They
haven't built
want.
a star in 15 years.
But that's
man.
what I'm saying is that's what they want to do. They're realizing they can't compete with
I mean,
super indies.
what
But what do you see? Like when you watch a Keith Lee match,
You're-
you find the guy. How do you not go? What are you
And
looking at there? Like
And
baseball.
you're basically unloading all your talent. And why do you think everybody in the community keeps saying the same thing? Why is WWE unloading all this talent? If you're looking at who is actually going to run this company, it's basically Vince saying, I don't trust anybody in this company to
No,
run it.
I
I'd rather
wanna
get
know
rid of it and make the money now
why
and
they're
then have
signing all
somebody
this
else have it.
talent just to
So
release them.
well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to make a prediction. Within the next 10 years, WWE will be sold to some other company, whether Tony Khan decides to pick up the tab, or I'll even throw a dark horse in it. Why
I have
not
a comment for
ESPN and
Kyle's comment.
Disney?
Those are in there. Kyle, the difference between Vince and Moneyball is Billy Bean knew what he was doing.
Dude, but no,
Billy Bean knew what he was doing.
Why do you okay, I'm gonna use Trey Baxter, aka Blake Christian. We talked about it pre-show.
Yes.
How do you see that guy on the indies, snatch him up, say, yep, we got him. He hasn't even been in that company for an entire year yet.
Yeah.
And you just say, see ya.
Good.
Like, why did you sign him in the first place?
Because they didn't want him to go. Because most
likely
likely they didn't want him to go somewhere else and potentially.
Frankie Monet is one of the most decorated women's wrestlers across all of wrestling.
Correct.
And
So is an Ember
her.
Moon that we're not
And
talking
Ember
about.
Moon.
Ember Moon.
Ember Moon is phenomenal. And you're just like.
So here's the thing is that with Ember, I think she'll end up in AEW.
That would be a good get for them.
And I think Taya will end up back in Impact. Scarlett and Cross are on the fence. So I think it could go one or two ways. It could go to Impact where they did a lot of great stuff, or AEW. But I think because of how good he was in Impact, I think that might be the route.
He left in a weird way. I don't think he's going
I do
back.
remember him.
I
don't remember all the details, but I do remember there was a little bit of a situation when he left Impact.
He realized he was getting bigger, and him and Scarlett were getting bigger than Impact, and they kind of, I don't want to say they did it dirty, because I don't ever think that a person, wanting to better themselves is dirty. I just think that they rubbed some people the wrong way on the way out. So I'll be interested to see where Cross goes, because I got to be honest with you. We automatically default to AEW is the place to go. AEW is right now. There's a lot.
And with these
bench, it's a deep bench.
And if they go with my
dude
Tim's guy Wyndham, if they get Wyndham, there's eventually you run.
AEW can't sign everybody. They can't sign everybody.
So I pay attention.
There's two guys that you should sign that our contracts are going to run out next month. Kyle O'Reilly and Johnny Gargano.
Yes.
And you would want to sign those guys, I would think.
And then you reform the Undisputed Era.
Yes.
You reform the Undisputed Era.
What I'm going to say about that is I think Gargano is going to stay. I think.
Really?
I think he's going to stay another 3 years, because I think in their eyes, since Candice is pregnant, I think both of them want. Yeah, they want the security for the first couple of years of that child's life.
But AEW is going to give them that.
Yeah, AEW can offer them that, though.
AEW can offer them that, but NXT, without traveling with a newborn baby, will give them that flexibility than anything. Yes, Seth and Becky are doing it, but for them, maybe being in Florida on a full-time basis, close to family who can help, instead of having like a traveling nanny, being hands-on, which their personalities to me seem like they're like that.
Yeah, I mean,
it would make more sense for them. Now, I could be wrong. We could be predicting the future like we all are. But for me, I think Gargano is going to stay. I think O'Reilly is out the door, and I think he might not end up in AEW. I think he might just go to Japan and actually take a shot out there.
He's been there before.
And we're not talking about New Japan in all of this also. And there are names in this pool that could go to New Japan. And it's a ridiculous amount of people. I wouldn't.
Karrion Kross would be a big time deal over in Japan.
That would be somebody that I could see with Scarlett.
If they had that presentation over there in Japan,
it would be over.
That would be lights out.
I'm not going to pretend to be a New Japan guy. Like I keep up on big matches. I don't watch everything. But what I've been listening to from our buddy Warren Hayes and keeping up on, they're in a bit of a transition period right now too. They're just back from COVID. They're still kind of strict over there. They're figuring it out. So,
but you're also forgetting
there's a lot of uncertainty. I would.
But you're
say.
also forgetting, Pluggo, that they do have a branch in America. New Japan in America, out in California, is a part of that.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit. I'm fired up
every time.
If
let me finish this phrase.
How many New Japan America matches have you watched?
Zero.
Where can you find
zero
it?
For me?
So if you're Kyle O'Reilly, are you going to go Adam Cole, your best friend, once a week? That's all he works.
Yep, that's
once
it.
a week.
You got to fly in on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning.
Tuesday,
fly out Wednesday night, Thursday morning, baby. Boom.
Be on Twitch. And I'm not knocking New Japan. I'm a proponent of more wrestling is better for wrestling. I said that last week. I say that every chance I get. So I hope New Japan America takes off. But I can tell you right now, I wouldn't even know where to find it. And I watch all sorts of stuff.
You know what? Every time I've known Pluggo for a long time, and any times when he has a thought or something like that, it kind of borderline scares me for a moment. But the thing is that
he just lays it on thick. But he's a smart.
Oh no,
guy.
I know that. But
I lean on the side of getting fired opposed to just being smart. No, but stuff like
there
this.
You go. Dan says it's on Fight. You can find it on Fight.
But the point of the matter.
Oh, I don't know.
The point is that there are multiple other companies that nobody is talking about. And the sad part is, and the very, very sad part about this is that some of these people, if Ring of Honor didn't announce what they did, would end up in Ring of Honor and made a huge difference to them and make a big thing.
Yeah, GCW is somewhere that I think people will consider now, though, because GCW has had a year. For themselves.
Give me Frankie Monet and Mission Pro. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I mean, the Indies is going to slap.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing we're talking about, right? Like, obviously, the Indies and just professional wrestling in general is going to have a boom period now, because you do have the Ring of Honor news where all that talent is going to be out in the free agent market as well soon. And with these releases, unfortunately, like indie wrestling. And then wherever they end up, whether it is with a bigger company like an Impact, an MLW, New Japan, AEW, some may be back with WWE in future. The wrestling in general is going to be booming. It's going to be booming with the talent.
This is going to be the era. There's going to be an era of this where the influx of talent is going to fluctuate. And it's going to be kind of like now AEW. And I wanted to say this a few minutes ago, so I'm going to squeeze this in real quick. I look at women's wrestling as the meter of wrestling in general. Now, people are going to be like, why do you do that? Here's the reason why. Men's wrestling in general is predominantly the same level all the time. You go to company to company, you'll be arguing, well, AEW's men's division is the best. WWE's men's division is the best, so on and so forth. But you can actually tell how the health of wrestling is doing based off of the women's fluctuation. To me, Impact is the #1 women's promotion in the world, hands down, period. Me and Pluggo have talked about this on Wicked Crazy Pinfalls a while back, maybe about a year or so with Ray Callahan. The WWE's NXT, when before the 2.0, was the second best women's wrestling company. Promotion, whatever you want to call them, period, hands down, if you divide WWE's products to individual companies. Now, AEW is the #2. That says a lot of the health of your company. If a small-time promotion, let's call it a third-rate promotion, like an ECW promotion, has the best women's division from top to bottom, and then now Tony Khan, with all these releases with the potential, has the best champion besides where Diana was, and you have the best talent pool with Ruby Soho and all of these other people, and you're bringing in Ember or you bring Taya. You're gonna look at the health of WWE leaning on Bayley, Sasha, Charlotte and Becky a lot more. And
I mean, that's all they rely on now.
Yeah, but it's going to be even more heavier, and you're going to see people.
How much more can you do? They're literally all
Which
that
is
matter.
crazy because we are starting, and that's what WWE. We are starting to turn on the Sashas, the Baileys, the Beckys, and the Charlottes, not because they are terrible, but because that's just all we're getting.
That's all we get.
It's
all we get.
Crazy to me to think that like I'm going. Man, this Becky thing is just not hitting for me. It shouldn't be that way.
So this is why I'm saying women's wrestling in general shows you the health of a company based off of it. Now, Alexa's away. You're going to end up having to bring some talent. You have Rhea that kind of was okay at first, and now it's a thud for the most part.
They screwed her up.
In your NXT women's division, you put Mandy Rose as your champion, and now you're going backwards, not forwards. So you had, Io as your champion and so on and so forth. Tell me right now, right, Mandy Rose, who's her next challenger? Like, without even think of it one hand. Give me 4 people you could think of on that roster.
Oh, well, I can think of Dakota Kai, Io Shirai, and
Raquel
that's probably
Gonzalez
it. Raquel Gonzalez, obviously, in the
into
rematch.
the bowl, but
yeah, those are probably the 3. I could probably give you 3.
And the thing is that you can't after that.
Yeah, I mean, well, they just got rid of 4 of them. So,
yeah.
Oh yeah, Sarai. I could see her as well. That's a good one.
But it's just for me.
But NXT 2.0 is becoming a different show. So it's. Yeah.
But the point's there. It's just you went from the best women's division less than 6 months ago to
but
we
talked about this last week with Carl.
Yeah,
I think he just wasn't winning. Even though we could argue all day, they had the best this, the best that. They
had great shows. When I was watching both shows on the same night religiously like that, NXT was still having banger shows, man. They were having banger, really good shows for a long time, but they just could not compete with AEW.
But even then, when they moved to Tuesday solo, they still were losing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not saying, trust me, I think we need more women's wrestling. I think they need to focus heavy on the women's wrestling side of things. But I do think they do need to change up the game. They do need to change up the narrative. They need to figure this out quick because I think people, with every time they do this, more and more people go, I'm going to find something else.
I'm going to find something else because why am I going to invest my time?
What happens too is you find these awesome, talented people that we fall in love with, and then we go watch them. And I think somebody said Blake Christian is already announced for GCW in the comments. That's okay. Well, guess what? Blake Christian just immediately became more interesting to me. Now I'm going to go watch GCW, see what he does on his debut, and I might fall in love with somebody that I've never seen before, and I might just start watching that.
Yeah.
Give me local promotions stepping up to get these talent. Give me something
I would
where
be okay with that too. But at the end of the day, a lot of the talent, I feel like once you get to a certain level, I mean, it's good to take a step back and figure stuff out. But if you like, again, I think like we saw Cody Rhodes do it. Cody Rhodes took the whole first year that he got released and literally went to every little, I saw him at a high school gym down the street. You know what I mean? Like he went everywhere.
Look at Drew.
He didn't have to do that.
Look at Drew. He went back to Britain and went to the first promotion he ever did because it was his buddy's promotion and worked it, became the champion, and took that title everywhere.
Yeah.
I want somebody to do that, like with Chaotic or other promotions.
Yep. And Bubba Duke's also in the chat. You guys, Turnbuckle Talk rules. Check them out on Tuesdays.
Yes.
And have somebody do that on a regular basis. Because for me, financially I can't go to these shows, and obviously with the neurological disease I have, local shows are probably the closest thing I can because they don't have strobe lights going 1,000 miles a minute. They don't have all those issues for me being like an epileptic. I can go down, and JPJ has probably been there. I can go to the Polish Club in Lowell and go see a killer match for maybe about $10, whereas paying $155 giving me a chance to have a seizure. I kind of like that $10 option.
Yeah, of course. And you would like to see people, they usually bring in the legends and local shows like that. I'm sure people will be popping in, hometown people from time to time. It's just, I have a feeling that a lot of this talent, once you reach a certain level, yeah, you'll do something for a buddy that's still running the old promotion back in the hometown, maybe for a weekend or something like that. But when you're talking about a destination, I think you're
Yeah.
thinking probably a bit bigger,
Well,
the
unfortunately. problem with
No, but you get the
problem with
point,
indies
though.
is there's no. Here's the thing. We'll use this as an example. We'll tie this all into your point.
Yeah, and then we've been talking about this for 40 minutes.
We've been going
so then
on.
we'll move
There's
on
a
to
lot,
the next
you know.
topic.
And by the way, keep it coming in the comments. Let us
this has
know
been a
who
good
you-
talk.
Yeah, keep the releases who you missed or who you're going to miss the most, who you was most shocked by. But my point to this is, so the indies, right? Yeah, it would be cool for Frankie Monet to go do some indie shows in her local hometown. But you know what happens? We just saw it this weekend. Danhausen, hottest free agent, Mance Warner, back to back, broken. They're probably out 6 months, to 9 months.
Yep.
And guess what? They don't have that. Well, Danhausen has the contract because the ROH is still paying
Ring
him.
of Honor. Yeah.
So he's got Ring of Honor. So yes, he's got some money coming in, but Mance Warner, they're not going to have a consistent paycheck for 3-4 nights a week now. So a lot of these indie talents, indies is cool, but you want that contract, and unfortunately, the only people offering contracts are the big boys.
Yeah.
So
it's sad.
It's sad. I mean, I would love to see like a Kyle O'Reilly indie run. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, any of these people,
but
an indie run would just be cool to see them.
That's cool.
By the way, before we shift into something different, I want to give this man a little bit of a buff on him. Go check out Pluggo's stuff on his verbal stuff, his audio stuff. He does an amazing indie breakdown on every indie show, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. I haven't done one of those in a while. I need to do it. We were just talking about that. I gotta.
You're slacking, bro. You're slacking.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard carrying the flagship. It's hard, like
show.
Once you get to a certain, it's kind of like us with the once you get to a certain level, it's kind of.
Hey, my wife says hi. Hi, Mrs. Pluggo.
All right, so I did want to talk a little bit.
There's a lot of heavy topics.
Yeah, and we'll get it out of the way, but then we have a fun draft coming. We have like we said earlier, we might have Josh Robinson popping back in here for a couple minutes or something, maybe, and then we're going to talk about the tournament bracket with Throwback and stuff. We got some fun stuff coming. So,
by the way, I have the title right next to me, so let's see who wants this.
Well, yeah, we'll see. That's going to be me. It's going to be me, but it's fine. I want to talk about John Moxley.
The flagship. That's
so
right,
it is
baby.
the flagship. So I want to talk about. There it is.
I called that early. Hey, where's the dollar bills?
All right, John Moxley. Obviously, Tony Khan came out publicly on Twitter and said that with John Moxley's blessing, he announced that Moxley was stepping away from AEW to enter some rehab for alcohol. Tremendous support from his fellow AEW colleagues, from obviously Tony Khan, from all other wrestlers, and just in general, tremendous support. And then last night, I have not watched all of Dynamite. I'm going to finish after this show, actually. I have not watched all of Dynamite, but I did see the CM Punk promo in which CM Punk, which was awesome, Yes. CM Punk was so supportive and just, there was a time, and not in this not so distant past, where this type of reaction wouldn't have happened for something like this. Like most likely Moxley would have just kept working through it or things like that. This is one of the biggest things I can remember of someone like actually in this wrestling world, like saying, hey man, I have a problem and I need to get it fixed because I'm not in a good way and I'm not going in a good direction. I need to step away and focus on me. Because at the end of the day, self-care is the most important care. We got to take care of ourselves. Life is fast and life is hard. And if you're going through something or you feel like you're not at your best, like you need to do what you got to do to get help, whether that's reaching out to somebody, whether that's, handling it yourself, however you find the need, you got to do that. And to see Tony Khan and the company and have Punk cut a promo like that, and just to see everybody be so behind him and so supportive, it's really good to see. It's
awesome that they did this too, and it shows the character of Punk and stuff like that. Especially since if you go back to WWE times, Punk was part of supposed to be part of the Shield and stuff. So he's worked with Moxley previously in between. But I'm gonna touch. It shows, like I said, character AEW and the people there and stuff.
Oh,
I want to,
good
because
comment right
people
there,
are going to start piling on WWE. WWE silently has helped some of their talent to get help. I mean, look at the Dark Side of the Ring segments, some of the documentaries and stuff. I'm giving them where their credits due. Look at Hardy. They've sent him to rehab a few times. They've sent certain people.
I believe they pick and choose.
But the thing about it is that when it bears down, they still try to help them out when they can, as best they can. You got to give them a little credit on that. Whereas AEW is basically vocally saying, "Hey, we got him, we got his back, 100%." The whole company's behind him. Whereas WWE is kind of like that silent person. I mean, look at Brian's comments when they're talking about his, about how his history of head trauma for concussions. Vince, he even said it. Vince was very, very hands-on and too hands-on and being overprotective, but still, I mean, they care.
Well, he was
about
overprotective because Daniel Bryan makes him some money.
But the point is that if they're
motives,
that
my friend, there are motives.
They're motives, but I'm saying if they're that protective of a certain amount of talent, I bet you with certain things like this, they're even more so proactive. So before people start harping on it,
why are we talking about WWE anyway?
No,
but I'm saying I'm using both of them to connect.
We talked enough about WWE. I'm done with WWE.
I don't want to do the apples. I don't want to compare the two companies. This is how it should be. This is how you should do it.
In all line of work, not just wrestling, where this is how it should just be in the world.
We've had this discussion on the show. I am 3 plus, almost 4 years, maybe. I don't know. It's 3.5+ years sober.
Good for you.
And you know how I got it done? Support. It's easy for a guy, and we don't know all the ins and outs. This is again face value. They made the announcement. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes at the Moxley household, right? I'm not a part of that. But I know from personal experience that when you are expected to be that guy, he's done the walking to the ring with the alcohol thing. He's the modern day Stone Cold. You're expected to be a badass, just tough guy, which I'm not as badass as Jon Moxley, but I'm saying expected to be that guy, and you get a certain way, you start to feel a certain way, you go out, the expectation is, oh, hey, have a drink, have a beer. Hey, who wouldn't want to drink with Jon Moxley, right?
Of course.
So you're doing that. It becomes a part of who you are. And there's a section of fans that are shitting on him right now. And I think that that's the wrong way to go. Support him. This is, how hard it is to take a look in the mirror and go, I've got to fix this. I've got to fix it. I've got to change it. And you can only do it for you.
Yeah.
You can't do it for others. Yes, by a product, he's got a child, he's got a wife, he's doing it for them, but you've got to start with you. And I had to start with me, and I had to do it for me. And of course, people laughed it off like, oh, you don't need to quit. You don't need to do this. You'll be fine, blah, blah, blah. You gotta make the right decision. I think he's making the right decision. This is a big first step. Yeah. I mean, this week, we saw what happened with Henry Ruggs, the football player.
Oof.
Right.
Terrible story.
Terrible story. For those, he speeding.
He was drunk and he was speeding and he killed somebody. Yeah.
And you know what? And I'm not excusing his actions, and I'm not saying, but Jon Moxley for a while probably thought he was invincible. Henry Ruggs, I'm 22, nothing's going to happen to me. Right. So for Jon Moxley to recognize, okay, there's a problem here, I need to do something, for AEW to stand behind him, that's fantastic. Because I can tell you right now, I would not be where I'm at today if I didn't have a support system and I didn't have people that believed in me to make those decisions to, cut the alcohol out of my life and just focus on what needed to be focused on. And is it a struggle? Yeah, it's not going to be easy for Jon, but I can tell the way it's being portrayed, again, I'm not behind the scenes, but the way it's being portrayed on television and being all the outward support, he's going to have a fan base and he's going to have people that are going to support him. This company is behind him. And that's what's great is we are at a place now where a badass dude like Jon Moxley can come out and go, you know what?
I got
I'm
a
not
problem.
there. I've got a problem.
I got a
We're at a
problem. I gotta
place
fix
where
it.
we've got NFL football players going, I need to step away
Yep.
from the game. Instead of
100%.
just continually, you got to be a man. The be a man is done. Like, you
Mhm.
know, it takes more of a it's tougher to say,
Any-
Oh, 100%.
because you should be able to, and that's something I struggled with early on in my like sobriety, was like people would be like, congratulations, like that's awesome. And it's like, you're congratulating me for something that I couldn't handle, myself. I
Yeah.
should be able to, as a man or as a, grown person, be able to go out and have a good time. Right. And not, but it's weird. So, but now we're in an age where it's like, good for you. That's awesome. You're recognizing, you're self-aware that this is something that could potentially take you down a path like we unfortunately saw this week.
And you
with
have
that.
to also look at the timing of it too. Is like he was in, like he's in the middle of a tournament where he was most likely going to be going to the finals to face Bryan Danielson at a pay-per-view in a week and a half. You know what I mean? And for him to also taking that into account and know, like, no, man, I'm not going to hold out for a couple more weeks until the tournament's over, or get through the pay-per-view, or do
And
this
to
or do
know
that.
that his
Like,
spot is safe because
and
the
to know that,
company
like, that
backs
won't
him.
affect him. He works for an
Mhm.
employer that where he doesn't have to worry about, hey, I'm not right, I can't be here, and them going like, oh, well, we can't rely on you now.
Right.
So see you later. All right, cool. Like, he doesn't have to worry. You know what I mean? And that support, yes. And like he said, you want to be tough, ask for help. Ask for help. And it's not easy. There's been plenty of times, I'm sure all of us in the comments, all of us, there have been plenty of times in our lives where we've needed to ask for help, and we probably did not.
Yeah.
We probably did
Or
not.
there's times that you're young and you think, I'll be fine.
I'll figure it out. I got it.
I've made some dumb decisions in my day. I'm not going to sit here and lie. There's a reason I don't drink anymore. Right? We're not going to go. I won't get into all of the specifics. If anybody ever wants to have a conversation with me about it, hit me up in the DMs. I'm glad to talk about my stories and share my stories. I'm no saint, but we all have those. And I'm sure John Moxley for a long time, because it's a struggle, because to get to the point where you need to say, I got to step away, means that you've probably had the thoughts and probably had the conversations, and finally it was just like, something's got to give. And there's always that something's got to give moment in at least my experience, where, and he probably wanted to ask for help, but probably, again, we all have this perception that John Moxley is just this badass dude that nothing affects him. He can go through barbed wire and take pizza cutters to the face, So he probably struggled for a little bit with it. And I'm super proud of him for stepping up and saying, I need to stay, asking for help, taking a step back, and for AEW to just, fine. And when he comes back, everybody's going to be there.
Yeah,
he's John fucking Moxley.
Yeah, Mox is the one of those guys that that will bounce back instantaneously throughout this.
And I will say
100%.
that everybody out there now that's listening, friends, family, but whatever, you struggling with something, come talk to one of us. Talking helps, because it's hard to talk about.
For me, obviously, I don't know what he's going through and stuff, but I can not relate to drugs and alcohol. But like I said, you both know I have a neurological disease. I've had epilepsy, and my last seizure was in 2002. It takes a lot of people to get me through it, because with medications for epilepsy and stuff, the side effects are great because it affects your brain and stuff like that. So like Pluggo and you JPJ have reached out and be like, hey, are you okay? Ed's done the same thing. It helps, but 20 years coming up seizure free and having people behind you and support you is a big deal. It's a major thing. So like if you go through drugs and alcohol and you have the right support system to push you better, it makes a good thing. Pluggo's a product of it. I am with my epilepsy. Everybody has their own little thing going through. I'm just very, very lucky that I'm still able to talk to people about that stuff. And I always like teaching people about, all that stuff. So if Pluggo said, if you guys want to ask questions or anything, don't hesitate to DM me or DM these guys, Yeah.
And it's true, Don. And he said earlier that he is 16 years sober. So good for you. That's awesome.
Hell
That's
yeah.
awesome. So I did want to call that out. I saw that comment earlier. But
Just
yeah, it
don't
shows that
forget-
he is human, and he's not.
We're all human.
We're all human at the end of the day.
Even your favorite entertainer, human being.
Human being.
All I'm gonna say is, please, AEW, do not do what WWE does when he gets back. I don't want to hear any more piss of jokes about freaking urine.
Yeah, because WWE does do that from time to time, and they'll use that type of stuff, and it's just not,
I mean, yeah, and I'm across the board. I didn't think it was good to do that with Jeff Hardy. I mean, sure, if Jeff was fine with it, that's on him, but I just thought it portrayed the wrong message. The Uso thing, I was very adamant. I think he shouldn't have been still stuck in the main event.
Correct.
They should have got him help. I think AEW will handle this with class. I think if they decide to bring it up, I mean, I don't know how you bring that up in good taste, to be honest with you.
We have Turnbuckle Talk, which I believe is Carl. He says he's had substance and mental issues, and without support, I wouldn't be here today. So thankful for the support and thankful that I put my ego aside and asked for help. Well, we are thankful that you're here today, too, my friend.
Yeah.
You're a good dude. Thanks for being here. And like I said, and Pluggo said, and Throwback said, all three of us, like, anybody that's in this chat, anybody that follows any of us anywhere, like, if you're going through it, man, like, we're here to talk. Like, if you just need an ear to listen to, you need to vent. And I know Alex behind the glass, Ecto Guy 87 on the Twitter, same thing. Like, if you got a chat, even if it's just venting, we're all here. Like, everybody could talk to somebody. So,
so you have time? I give you a story about something that happened with me. And then
we'll get moving on to our special segment, and then we'll do our draft.
So, and Pluggo was part this. I have up and down with the medication I'm on, and if you want to look it up, it's lamotrigine. They give it to people who are bipolar. So sometimes my moods will change gradually because of it. One time I was in a really bad spot, and Pluggo hit me up asking if I was okay. But when it's really bad with one of the people you look up to hit you up. And I got a message from Sean Ross Sapp, literally just be like, dude, I'll say my real name, Pat, what are you doing? Are you okay? What's wrong? It takes people like this community to reach out. So the reason why I'm saying this stuff is that one of us are here. You're not alone. We're always learning to listen. That's why at every end of the show, I say, do a good deed, pay it forward, because doing and listening and hearing to help other people makes something happen for someone else, and they'll keep that chain going.
100%. It does not take a lot, and it should not be hard to be nice to people and to be there. I'm just glad people. It's pretty simple.
We are not in the Undertaker's locker room anymore.
No, we are not. All right.
I'm glad.
I believe it is that time. We have a special new weekly segment here on Between Two Beards, involving a gentleman that we saw raid us a little bit earlier, and that is one Josh Robinson.
Fan favorite. Fan favorite,
Josh. Multi-time guest.
Many times over.
Josh Robinson.
Set the table.
Pluggo,
Josh,
you go ahead.
Josh is a busy man, JPJ. He does the Power Hour with you, Legacy of, you have it. The dude's all over the place on Twitch all the time, killing it. I wanted to have him on as much as possible, so we decided, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give Josh Robinson free reign. So
Carte
HR,
blanche.
whatever you want. Kate Blanchett with the budget.
Now,
he's got Kate. So we gave him a segment. And this is all we said. Here's your time slot. Do whatever you want. Josh Robinson, Unhinged, starts now.
Ladies, gentlemen, my non-binary friends, it is I, Josh Robinson here, your friendly neighborhood gay Australian man, and JPJ and Pluggo have asked me to contribute to Between Two Beards. And the only way that they see fit is to do a 30 to 60 second little rant every single week, a little Josh Unhinged. So I thought, well, what grinds my gears, what gets me going? And the first thing that I want to talk about this week is not about wrestling, because who wants to talk about wrestling? We want to talk about life. We want to talk about things that make people pissed off. Even I had a personal glitch saying it because it makes me so mad. The thing that I want to talk about this week is that when people wear no shoes outside of their home. It's a thing here in this country for people to just walk around barefoot in a store or anywhere like that. It's disgusting. It's repulsive. Put some shoes on. Put some shoes on. The thing I want to talk about this week is putting some damn shoes on your feet. Feet are gross in general. I'm not a foot guy. It's disgusting. But if you want to pay me for some feet pics, you can do it. I will take your money. I will sell out for any kind of dollar. But that's for a different kind of video. The people that walk around barefoot outside of their homes are trash. They're trash people. So, you know, talk about that. Elaborate on that. How they're just disgusting human beings if you walk around barefoot. It's gross. Yuck. All right. Bye.
All right.
I want to get him on if he's
here's
around.
what we
I
do.
want to rebuttal some of those stuff if he
No.
has a second.
We bring
No.
the greatest minds in wrestling on this show to talk about anything but wrestling.
Yes.
That's what we do.
First
What's
of all,
up, HCW?
what kind
By
of-
the way, what podcast were you on that I wasn't a part of? What the heck, boys?
Yeah, no, what the
love
heck,
you
man?
guys. Love you guys. Get us on. What's
My
going on?
thing is, he said that in his country of Australia, there are people that walk around in like stores without shoes on. That's
We
not
don't-
allowed over here.
Yeah, we don't do
No,
that.
it's
over
You
here.
can,
not.
that's not allowed over it. Like that is if I ever saw anyone walk into my place of work and they didn't have shoes on, I'd throw them out the drive-through window. I'd be like, get the hell out of here. What is this? What is this? The Flintstone era? Get the hell out of here.
I walk around my own house barefoot
Well,
sometimes,
yeah, that's
but I
fine.
don't
It's
go
your
out of the
house.
places.
Look,
you
if
know?
you are
You're allowed
over
to do
the,
that.
if
That's
you
your
are
house.
over the age of 12 and you leave your home and your yard shoeless, you should be committed.
Repulsive.
Okay, the
Ugh.
difference is if you're on Miami Beach and the bars on the beach, do you consider
You gotta have
that
sandals on, man.
different?
Flip
Really?
flops.
For
or
some, a
sandals.
lot of them
I'm
allow
rocking
that.
some slides or something.
Yeah, you got to be. Come on now.
Come
I
on,
mean,
bro.
beach is different. I mean, beach is a beach day. If you're swimming, like, yeah, whatever. Like, you know, but I think he's referring to like people that just like walk out in public without. That is, come on, man. We got
Then he
to.
might-
We got to all be better than that.
Then he
It'll all
might
be
cringe
better.
watching Matt Riddle when he wrestles
Well,
too.
yeah. Or the old Rusev before he hurt his foot.
Yeah.
All right. Well, throwback. So, you know, as we do when guests are
I
on,
know.
we say, "Hey, we're having a draft. You get to pick the topic of the draft." And you said you were leaning baseball. You know, with the World
Yeah.
Series ending the other day, the Atlanta Braves, shockingly, coming out of nowhere
Not
to win
my-
the World Series. Good for them.
So let me say this quick. I'm excited that the Braves are win for two reasons, and one is because I'm a fan of Tom Glavine, man. I mean, Bill Rick
Well, he
born
ain't there no
Tom
more.
Glavine. No, but he's still linked to that
true.
that
It's
that
true.
them.
I was a big fan
and
of Tom Glavine.
I have a Glavine jersey upstairs.
Yeah.
The other thing is my dad lived out in Atlanta. I'm happy
Nice.
for that community and stuff everything. I'm a Braves fan also, so it's like I wanted a Red
Well, you
Sox
know.
Braves World Series
Well,
just
you
for
know
that whole.
where the Braves
thing.
originally are from. The Boston
They're from
Braves.
Boston, yeah,
So
and they
booyah.
played in Hartford. They
Yep,
played
and-
at Harvard Yard.
And then one thing that I did want to say though, and I thought it was pretty cool, was obviously Hank Aaron, one of the greatest players to ever live, passed away this year. So for his team, the Atlanta Braves, to win the World Series in the year that he passed away, pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Pluggo, I
Yeah.
think you had something to say.
I was just gonna say I'm reading these comments and people are still Matt at the franchise is telling me that that's just common practice, the walking around the feet thing. But that's
That
not
is so
regulated.
bizarre to
How
me.
is that not regulated? That you're walking around
That
your
is
nasty
so
feet in my
bizarre.
grocery
Why?
store. What are you doing?
That is gross.
Ugh.
That is gross.
Ugh. But anyway, in the chat, here's what I want while we talk about baseball. Please let me and
Wait,
Throwback
time out.
and
I have to
JPJ
ask
know
questions about.
what baseball player would
Well,
be
all right. So did we
the
just want to
best
do?
wrestler.
All right. Oh, what baseball? What is that?
Which baseball player, currently or past, present, currently, do you think would be the best professional wrestler?
I said the greatest World Series.
He said
I've
because you're
got a
effing
bunch.
loose. That's gross.
So we
Don't
were
be that
originally going to do.
loose.
We were
Tighten
originally the Throwback's original idea was the greatest World Series, but I think that would be hard to come up with 15 of them. So
Especially when Boston doesn't win that many.
No, we do, but
No.
ours are just sweeps and they're not good World Series. So, you know, we're talking about
No,
how good
four.
the series are. You know, right? How good the series, like, oh, that was a really
Yeah.
good World Series. I
Yeah.
don't think there's 15 of them. I just don't.
I can name at least 5 of them just for myself.
Yeah, exactly. I could probably name about 4 or 5 too, but then we got to pick 15.
Johnson
It
with
ain't
that
going to work.
mullet, that'd be
Randy
awesome.
Johnson. Well, all right. So
Awesome
here's what I wanted to do.
wrestler.
Since we do a 5-round draft, I wanted to throw this out there. Do we just want to do a 5-round draft of like our favorite baseball, like a draft of the best or our favorite baseball players, or do we want to build a pitching rotation? Because it's 5 rounds. There's a 5-man pitching rotation. We could just have a draft of pitchers.
Then do it that way because I
I'll take
either
all
way
relievers.
works with me.
Do you want to do the pitching one? Like we'll just draft pitchers and build a 5-man rotation.
Yeah.
That way, yeah. All right, cool. Well, Throwback, you are the guest. The guest always gets the first overall pick. One thing I will ask, are we going currently or are we doing like all time, or do we want to
all
pick
time? Let's do all time because you can go back all the way back to Babe Ruth too, because he was a pitcher too.
Oh yeah. Right. I didn't know if you wanted to do modern era, like World War, like modern era, or if you want to go all the way back to the Ruth.
I still can't
Christy Matthewson, all that type.
Now the question I have for this is, and this is a good one: are you just doing base? You could do like build your own team, stuff like that, kind of like what MLB 2K does and stuff like that.
We're just going to build. We're just going to draft pitchers. So you're just going to build your 5-man rotation. So obviously you'll have first pick, but then whoever me or Pluggo pick, they're off the board. You can't pick them because it's a draft. You know, that type of thing.
I'm going to say
build
this:
a 5-man rotation.
And
you
I
get first pick,
always
so you
win.
get to go first.
I'm going to say this just because of the fact that he is the host. I have to do this. I grew up seeing this guy. His windup was killer. The 99 All-Star game was insane. Him pitching 3 innings, no runs in there, all strikeouts. Also, he did the relief pitching for the Red Sox during the Cleveland series and got them into the next round. Mm-hmm. He literally is the most dominant pitcher of that era. And I have to take Pedro. Pedro is number 1.
Yeah, he should be. He's the greatest pitcher to his window of pitching from like 98 to like 2000. No, actually more like 95, 97. Not probably like 97 to 2004. And even his first year with the Mets, there was not a better pitcher.
You can even go further back to his Expo. You can go back to 94.
That's what I said. Like, 94, 95 with the Expos too. Insane. But like he had a year with the Red Sox where he was like 23-4 and his ERA was like 2.02. And then he had another year where he was 19-8 and his ERA was 1.76.
So let me put this in perspective. If you take
Get the hell out of here.
If you take Pedro,
like, people are on steroids and shit.
If you take Pedro out of that 04 World Series, they don't win it.
Well, of course. You could take a lot of guys out of that World Series, and they were all important. Yeah. Literally, that was like, again, I don't want to get too much into Red Sox talk, but that was
we got to do that one day.
The 2004 World Series, that whole team, like every one of those dudes did something big in that playoffs. Like there was not one guy on that roster that didn't come up and do something big throughout that run. But anyway, my second overall pick. No, actually, Pluggo, I'll let you go second. I'm feeling generous tonight. I'll go last. I'll let you go second.
Well, Randy Johnson.
I knew you were going to do that.
Yeah.
Dude. Oh, that's
I'm going further back.
I'm
going further back.
I get 5 picks. I'll start off with the filthiest slider in baseball.
It's true. He perfect game too. He killed a bird once. The guy's a fucking animal.
Yeah, dude. I was gonna go Henry Rowan Gardner, but I don't think he
that would be more debatable than Cool Runnings. I think that would be not good.
Oh no, dude.
I am gonna go with we talk about that window of Pedro. So this guy played in the 50s and 60s, had a very small window, but in his 4 or 5 year window, he was the most dominant pitcher maybe of all time. I'm going with Sandy Koufax.
Oh, you went there. You're gonna take what the guys I was thinking about too.
You know, if you're gonna leave him for me, I would have taken Pedro first. So I agree with you there. Yeah, but I'm going Sandy Koufax. So it's your
Koufax.
second. It's your second pick now. Throwback.
Koufax was going to be one of the ones right there.
Yeah.
I was torn between Pedro and him.
Mhm.
Barry Bonds would have just yoked
Nope,
off. as
no,
many
no, he
goals.
wouldn't. Well, I
No,
mean,
really,
Fight
no.
me.
Koufax was in his height unhittable.
Actually, here's a good one, and JPJ will appreciate this. Bob Gibson.
Yep, that is a good one. He was literally, it was 1 and 1A between Koufax and him for me.
Yeah, just because Gibson was untouchable for a couple of years.
Beat us in the World Series, I want to say, like 1946 or 64, one of them. Something like that.
The Impossible Dream year.
67.
The
That's right.
Carlton Fisk
Yeah.
one.
Pluggo, second round selection.
What am I getting shushed for? What did I do?
I don't know.
I don't either.
He said true, though.
Easy. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it happen. I don't even care. Roger Clemens.
Yeah. I mean, he was a cheetah.
But
he
was pre-steroids. He was damn good too.
Yep. He was damn good for the Red Sox for a long time.
We can go on this rant all we want. They should not be left out of the Hall of Fame. It's an era of that'd be like saying the Attitude Era was too risque, so we're not going to acknowledge it now. Everybody was juicing. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there's some of them that should definitely be in the Hall. Like Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. Clemens should be in the Hall of Fame. Like there's certain guys that should be in there, but you have to mention it, whether it's in the description or there's an I don't want an asterisk, but there's something you gotta mention it. You just have to.
Our buddy Don is in the comments wanting to go back to wrestling for a second here.
What do you say? WSX just made a tweet. Listen, we may have been canceled in less than 2 months, but damn it. Oh no!
Yeah, that's the thing. Like all these wrestling promotions that are going under, they knew how to use the talent. They knew what to do.
Yeah.
All right. So with my second pick, so I got my ace, right? I got my lefty, crafty ace. So I'm bringing the heat with my second pick. I'm going Nolan Ryan.
That's what I was going to do, but I thought maybe I'd get around to it one more time. That's a good pick. That was going to be number 2, but
all-time strikeout leader, 7 no-hitters. Even more impressive to me, 19 one-hitters.
And he beat the shit out of Robin Ventura.
He did in a headlock. It was exquisite. However, never won a Cy Young. Not once. Never once won a Cy Young, Nolan Ryan. Considered by many to be one of the best, if not the best ever. Never won a Cy Young. Throwback, your third round pick, your third starter.
That's kind of hard because you got one of the top lefties that I could think of with Koufax. So I'm that old school where if I had to build a bullpen, it'd be right, left kind of idea because the next person on the next day you have to switch your lineup around.
Yep.
And he's one of my favorite. I know you've probably seen him live too, being from this area. Bull Spinner alumni. Basically helped them win the World Series in 2007. He was a Cub. I don't know if he's a free agent. John Lester.
All right.
Everybody's like, well, why John Lester? Lester without them.
Great.
Yeah, Lester without him in 2007 wouldn't have made it happen. On top of that, selfishly, a cancer survivor too. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit selfish on that part from my background. But seeing him pitch in Lowell was just, it was a gem. It was like chef's kiss. It was like you literally just stayed there when he was pitching.
Can't throw to first base though.
He had trouble. He had trouble doing that.
This is
Pluggo,
easy.
Third round pick.
Give me Greg Maddux.
Yeah, that's a good one, buddy. I was waiting for it.
Give me the Mad Dog.
Oh, Maddux. What a stud he was.
Don, you're absolutely right. Babe Ruth was a good picture back in the day. I think he made the right decision switching to just hitting. But yeah.
Let's see here.
Yeah, I think I've won this already.
What, bro?
Yeah.
I don't think so, man. There's still bigger names out there.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You got some good ones.
We do this every draft.
Yeah, yes, we do. All right, I'm going with the current guy. He's towards the end of his career, though. I wouldn't be shocked if he retires in the next couple years. However, he is the best pitcher of this generation. I would say this to the last decade or so. Another lefty, another Dodger. I'm going with Clayton Kershaw.
You obviously don't want playoff wins then. Cool.
Well, he's my third starter, so by the time we get to him, if it's all right, it's all right. And he won a World Series, and I think he had 2 wins in that World Series, so fuck off.
Damn it.
He's also lost a World Series to us, so I mean, I'll take that. So I'm gonna take Don's thing because this guy in his prime was the most sought out commodity ever. A former Blue Jay in his own right. You and me know the Red Sox wanted him badly. They wanted to give the Blue Jays the farm. I'm gonna take Roy Halladay. I'm gonna take Doc Halladay, and that would literally, be an awesome pitching match. Kershaw versus Halladay. That would be like a gem to watch.
Mm-hmm. All right, Pluggo. 4.
I'm just gonna take Cy Young.
Yeah, obviously.
Why wouldn't you take the guy that the award's named after? And he's my 4th starter, so I don't need a lot from him. The dude threw like 9,000 innings back then.
Well, I mean, when they were, they weren't playing against anybody that was.
Sandy Koufax wasn't playing against.
Yes, he was. That was
Ken
post
Griffey
that.
Jr.
That was well, he was playing against Willie Mays and Jackie Robinson and but he wasn't playing against you and me in right field.
Hey man!
Now would it be right field at Fenway or what other
right field? Have you seen some of those other stadiums there? Forbes Field, dead center is like 480.
Oh man!
Or the Polo Grounds?
Yeah, Polo Grounds, ridiculous. Down the line was like 210 or some 230,
and then the other one was like
465.
Yeah, what? 470.
Dumb. What have you guys left me?
There's still a lot on the bone right there. I mean, think about it.
Fourth pick, huh?
I just need the 4th starter to go, 6 innings, and I'll bring in a bunch of relievers.
I've got one that nobody has said, and I'm gonna keep that.
I am flaking. All right, with the 4th pick in my rotation, I am going with another current guy who I think is probably the best right-handed pitcher of the last decade, and that is one Max Scherzer.
Yeah. I know it's my 5th pick and stuff. I'm going to make it go old school. We need it because he went Cy Young, but nobody has said this person. One of the best pitchers of his era. He dominated the 60s and 70s for the most part. Tom Seaver.
Tom Seaver.
Everybody's going to be like Googling, who the hell is Tom Seaver?
The Mets,
dude was freaking killer.
The Mets. Pluggo.
If we were adding relievers, I would have picked Goose Gossage.
You still could. He could start. Why not? I could I could pull a Tampa Bay and just go all relievers in my starting 5.
It's true.
You know what? I gotta round it out here. I'm gonna go with a little bit of a sentimental pick for me. I'm gonna go with Kerry Wood.
Oh, you were yelling at me about never wanting to win playoff games. Kerry Wood.
I sat there as a kid and watched him strike out 20. That dude could bring it. Had Dusty Baker not ruined each one of those young starters?
What, him and Pryor?
Yeah.
He ruined Pryor. He ruined Wood.
Let's just say this much. I'll give it to Pluggo. He's got 220 plus strikeout people on that roster. But
for sure.
But you also got Cy Young, who literally had a short pitching career for the most part.
They've named the award after him.
Dude, back then they named the awards if you could just poop in a freaking pot.
Mad Bum's a good, but I'm saying they named the award after him. Are we saying Jerry West, the logo of the NBA, is trash?
Okay,
who's
the name of the award for the most valuable player in baseball? Tell me the name. Go.
It's just the NL MVP.
Exactly.
Or they had the Lou Gehrig Award. He's good.
Well, I mean, all right. I'm taking my last pick, which is going to give me the win because
You always win, 'cause
he's quite
everybody loves
dominant.
JPJ.
I'm going way back.
Uh-oh.
I'm going 1907 to
Damn.
1927.
Do it.
I'm
do
going
it.
Walter
Yes.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it, guys. It's over. You fucked up.
That's the dude that threw like he threw 9,000 innings too. He's got
I have
like,
his career stats. Hold on, right in front of me. Hold on.
figured you were
He
looking
is
at that.
so he pitched for 20 years, 1907 and 1927. His 5-year peak though was 1910 to 1914. But
Wait a minute.
he was 417 and 279. He threw for 6,000 innings. His career ERA was a 2.17.
He played in 65 games in 1918.
2.17 career ERA.
All right, by the way, I'm gonna go behind the curtain a little bit. Alex has already written down our
Oh my
draft
God, I
picks.
love it.
My
I
God.
was writing them down the whole time.
Chef's
Okay.
kiss, Alex.
I have a couple of names we didn't mention just because of some of the names are not in, MLB kind of thing, but it should be acknowledged because of what their contribution. Smokey Joe Williams, 1.47 ERA in the Negro leagues. Same as Satchel Paige. All these guys should have their due, and we should have had at least one extra pick where you could just pick one of those guys because they were some of the stuff you go and go to Cooperstown and see and they talk about. It's just insane.
Mm-hmm. And I believe it was either last year or in 2019 that MLB came out and said that they were going to start recognizing the Negro League stats as part of like the total baseball stats.
Josh Robinson.
Josh Gibson.
Gibson. Okay.
800 homers.
I didn't know Josh Robinson was,
he's a talented man, that Josh Robinson.
He can throw a mean fastball.
Josh Gibson literally would have been, if he went in, him and Babe Ruth would have been just insane. I mean, it's just, there's so many good talent there. It's just, it's hard to choose.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got about 7 minutes or so left. So let's take about 5 minutes and talk about what you got going on, Throwback, over on your channel. We got a tournament that Pluggo and I are a part of. Spencer was a part of as well.
Chris Barrett too.
But he didn't make it to the next round, but we digress.
What happened?
And you also have Parrish part of it too, which is I've been trying to get Parrish to come on a couple of times, but schedule-wise, it's kind of hard.
Yeah. Talk about it for a few minutes. Talk about who's left remaining, what the future holds for that, and then we'll plug our stuff, and we will get out of here.
The tournament came about with me and Rob Wilkins just talking about this one before we started doing Wicked Crazy Pinfalls. So it was just a brainchild for a while, and I noticed that everybody has their own belts. Love Wrestling has their own belt, Fightful, Wrestle Talk, stuff like that, but it's all in the same group. So why not open it up? Why not have all the Love Wrestling go against Fightful, against Wicked Crazy Pinfalls, contributors, stuff like that, and or in the case of Dennis Farrell, wrestling perspective, have people come in as a community and fight and make this thing work. You guys have been on it. I've had Anik and JMT on there, Ron Patel, who stopped in here, Big Money Drew, who everybody wanted to tear apart for that persona. I mean, oh my God. We have a guy called the King of the World in there. We even have Maggie on there. Maggie literally is awesome. The tornado and all this, and it's awesome. We have Parrish on there, Spencer. We have a bunch of good matches. We had a triple threat match we called the Destruction of the Distraction that had Rob O'Neill, JJ, and Jeremy Lambert on there. Nice. We have a triple threat match coming on again with you, Jenkins, and someone else. There's so many good matches and stuff like that. And, it is the brainchild, but this is what it's all for. The Wicked Crazy
mine soon enough.
The Wicked Crazy World title and stuff. But I was telling you guys, the bracket's going to be shifting a little bit. If you don't mind me announcing this, one of the matches we are now going to announce, which was going to be this week, is that we have a big match. Now, Drew's been stirring the pot in this tournament. Pluggo's has a promo against him a little bit and stuff. That's where the like Pluggo out picks all started.
So everybody.
So this match is going to be decided at possibly one of the pay-per-views this month, and I have to get all the scheduling in. But a triple threat match to go into the third round into next year. Rob Wilkins versus Dennis Farrell versus Big Money Drew.
Nice.
3 guys who are very smart, very opinionative, and both want this match. And
did they pick perfectly, though?
No, you and Jensen picked absolutely perfect. The King of All Worlds are only you 3 are the only 3 to pick.
I was just asking. No, for no reason, but I was just asking if they picked. Also,
let's just say this
question.
Yeah.
Is Jensen going to big time me again and not show up, or is he going to take the time to actually be on the friggin' show?
I'm going to try to fix all that stuff up and fix the brackets up.
I admire his work, but it'd be nice for him to show up.
I have to get in touch with Pluggo's iconic brethren, freaking Tad, and
then I think
possible
is the three-way is with Pluggo, right? Like I get to beat his ass. That's part of it. That's why I want to do it, so I could beat his ass.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it don't matter. Steven Jensen, Carly Rae Jepsen, JPJ. Call me maybe, call me baby. Pluggo, I'll pick everybody. It doesn't matter.
But I have my dark horse for all this is the King of All Worlds, and that match with Maggie and him will be epic.
I hope Maggie beats him.
And the thing is, if that happens, Maggie will meet whoever wins in the triple threat. Also, we're going to do the semifinal matches on day 1 of Mania, and whoever makes it out of that goes to the finals on night 2.
Cool.
So, I mean,
honest, you've already got my address and name written on the box.
Please, Pluggo.
Actually, if it was my way, and since I have to be neutral, but if I can just be transparent, I'd rather give it to somebody locally. I don't want to travel, but I mean, we have like a couple of local people in this tournament, so why not?
I see how you are. Loyalty is not on Throwback side here.
Let's just say this much: I've been loyal to you since you were the 3rd guest of the Wicked Crazy Pinfalls, and then literally every time I ask you, Pluggo, I'm changing the day of the show. Can you come on? Oh, I don't know. Let's see what my schedule is.
You big time in Throwback? That's big time in Throwback. Calling you out, bro.
That's dirty.
Yeah, that's dirty, but still, I mean, somebody in this tournament has to be the Ric Flair of the tournament. Man.
Oh, it's going to be me. Like, I've just been quiet, but I fully intend to win, and I fully intend to be the sorest of winners.
And all good things is that having everybody in this tournament is I very appreciate it. I've already decided that at 2022 into 2023, I will literally be doing another belt, but it's going to mainly be for people who have been on the show. It's not the full community, but it's mainly guests and people on the show. And you guys are welcome to be on it. The belt's going to be more elaborate. It's going to be more intricate. It's going to be more expensive, but it's going to be where I am going to be bringing that belt. This one I'm going to be traveling next year to give it to whoever wins. So if JPJ wins, Pluggo wins it, or whoever, I will be handing to you personally because I think that it's more important than anything.
All right,
listen
rock and roll.
here.
Well,
I got kids.
We're on time, Pluggo.
I got kids.
We got to get out of here on time here.
Why?
Rambling.
What do you got going on?
We got to.
Go hang on your pal Throwback. Go get the belt.
We're on a time limit. For crying out loud. Anyway, Throwback. Tell the people your Twitter handle. Tell them where they could see this tournament. Twitch. Give them all the info. Plug your shit, and then we'll let Pluggo plug his shit. And then we are going to be rating our friends at CFG Streams following the show, which will be within the next 60 to 90 seconds. So let's be quick with the plugs, and let's get out of here to get the people over to the CFG Streams. So Throwback, Plug away, my friend.
Go to Twitter, Throwback 978. You got Twitch, Throwback 978. YouTube, Throwback 27. Also, we now have TikTok, which I have no clue how to run,
There you go.
which is Wicked Crazy Pinfalls. Just help out. Check out all the rest of the guys on the show. We're on there every Thursday night right before these guys. I usually hop in right afterwards. We are going to be testing some nights periodically to see how it works, but just come by. We have a fun time. We have Maggie on there. We have everybody on there. Pluggo keeps popping in, booty chatting all the time. Just, everybody's welcome. There's an open door policy. If you ever want to come on, just come on, hang out with us. We're a really crazy crew, and it's getting a little wicked here and there with this tournament. It's going to be awesome.
All right, rock and roll. Thank you, as always, for being on the show. This was a fun show, and we had a lot of good discussion when it comes to wrestling and had some fun with that draft and stuff. Pluggo, anything to say to the people before we get out of here?
But I love all of you, and that you can follow me at Pluggo _ on Twitter. Pluggo Loves Wrestling on Facebook. At B2Beards on Twitter. Stop by, check us out.
If you're watching on YouTube,
If you're watching
hit
on
the
YouTube,
thumbs up, hit the bell for notifications, do all that fun stuff. Give Love Wrestling.
After the
Plus-
weekend I had last
Yeah.
weekend,
Yeah.
please make Spencer know that you love us and give us all likes on all social medias. And I don't know if I'll be invited back to Sunday brunch or blowing off stream, but I'm gonna try.
Yeah. And Dan, we want to say thank you for hopping in here. Thank you for everyone hopping in the
Yes.
chat. We are going to get out of here right now. RK Athletics, our sponsor. Thank you. Follow them on RK Athletics 1 on all social medias. You can find me right here, Joseph _Poulin Jr. We'll be back here next Thursday, same time, same channel. Throwback. Thank you again for joining
an
us
honor.
this evening. And on that note, cue the music. Peace out.